Thank you all for coming. And since there's a whole bunch of new people, I thought we'd do introductions. I'm Daryl McCool, and I am the chair of CAPS. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, I'm Melinda Tan. I am vice chair of this committee.
And I'm Kitty Sargent, and I am no officer of this committee, thank goodness.
Hi everyone, my name is Mayu, and I'm here representing Irving Redevelopment.
I'm Terri Whitaker. I'm the unofficial note taker for this committee.
She's awesome, so we've designated her note taker.
I'm Terri Clark, and I'm a Superior resident.
I'm Neil Shaw, I'm also a Superior resident.
I'm Cindy Sapuka. I am Executive Director at Open Studios, Boulder area arts nonprofit, and I also sit on the board of the Boulder County Arts Alliance.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Swajinski. I am also a resident and guest this week.
I'm Patrick Cameron. I'm the Parks Rec and Open Space Director.
Emily Clapper. I'm the Talent Management Analyst.
And we have
Rodney with Da Vinci Sign Company.
I'm sorry, sir. What was your name again?
Rodney.
E-A-T-O-N? Thank you.
Okay, so
yep. So just a quick update that we're doing on all committees, based off of the feedback that we got through the survey, and then some feedback from the board. At each committee member, your staff liaison is going to just quickly take attendance, and then we're also going to start to approve the agenda prior to the start of the meeting. So if there's any ads, we're all on the same page. And the kind of nexus for that is having 6 advisory committees. Everybody's doing things completely different. The board has tasked us with getting everybody on the somewhat consistent page. And we also have had some meetings that continue to go longer and longer and longer and longer, and it tends to get kind of personal agenda items towards the end. Hey, Sandy.
hello.
So those are going to be 2 just system-wide changes that you'll see going forward across the board on all committees, including SLIC. And our goal continues to be is just to take all of the 6 advisory committees and create some level of continuity. We were talking as a staff, so if you think about it, having 6 just within Parks and Rec alone at any given point, that means there's 60 volunteers appointed by the board weighing in on some level of our operations. And we just need to do a little bit better of a job internally. So with that, we'll just kind of quickly do attendance. Daryl?
Here.
Melinda?
Here.
Jane?
She's actually out of town, I do remember.
Okay.
Claire's coming late.
Claire will be late. Marcia is here. Kitty?
Here.
Karen?
She's coming late too.
Okay. Terry?
Here.
Debbie?
She's right there.
Got it. And trustee liaison Pennington.
Do you know all the visitors?
We went around and introduced, if you want to ask them.
And Marcia, I don't think there's an agenda.
Yeah. And then I'll.
Anybody else need an agenda down here, Marcia?
And then at this time, are there any additions to this agenda that we want to add? Great.
Okay, so we called the meeting to order. Next is public comment. We have some public here. Is anyone interested in speaking? Go ahead, Karen.
Hi. Thank you. So, I'm Terri Clark. I'm a Superior resident. And I've met some of you individually, and I wanted to present this evening an idea that I had. So I went to high school in Atlanta and to college, did part of my university study in Atlanta. And recently in the newspaper, there was an article about an Atlanta artist who is painting tiny doors throughout the city of Atlanta. And the doors are about yay high. And this started as a philanthropic effort on her part. And what started to happen because of these tiny doors is people are bringing their litter of kittens to get pictures taken next to them. People are bringing their infants for their welcome to the world photos. People are leaving messages by the tiny doors saying, "Marry me, Lisa." So what these tiny doors have done is, in a city as geographically and racially dispersed as it is, it's starting to bring the community together because it's become about these tiny doors. And then over the summer, I had the opportunity to go back to New York, which is where most of my family lives. And we're all from this lake called Lake Wanaksink. My kids will be sixth generation children to grow up on this lake. And this year, the arts and crafts activity at the clubhouse was once a week. The kids could, for a fee of $2 per child, the children could go to the clubhouse and paint these little rocks with little stick figure men and faces on them. And they painted, and on the rock, they do a background color, and then they do a word, kind of an inspiring word, like believe, imagine, hope. And of course, the face is kind of cheery and sunny. And some of the interesting things that have happened with that are like one of the older kids painted his rock and the little face and put it on his girlfriend's doorstep and wrote prom, ? So it, in this community on Lake Wanaksink, is bringing that community together as well. And then I was talking with one of my babysitters, Melissa, who said that at Stanley Lake, Arvada has an egg program. And now the quality of these eggs, all of them mostly, is like slightly above the plastic Easter egg that we get at the store. But inside each of these eggs is a little token or, something about the town or like advice. It's coyote season, keep your dogs inside, please pick up your trash. So the messaging within these eggs is unusual, and it kind of points more towards bringing the community together and at the same time advising how to treat our open spaces. However, there's one golden egg that has a $50 gift certificate for any business that is part of this program in Arvada. So I was thinking that we needed to have a minor program. minor program. And what I imagine, and you all are the experts, so please, flesh it out, make it ours. But what I was thinking is we could have, through our SLIC group, they could be the painters and designers of the miners. And this could be a more frequent program, like quarterly or monthly, depending on our budget and the level of interest for it. And they could paint messages on the miners, like we have a really bad problem in our town with, I'm sorry to mention it, dog poop, because people don't pick it up. So one of the messages could be, please clean up after your dog. Another message could be, it's coyote season, please keep your dog on a leash and your children closer by. But there could be other messages like, inspiring words, believe, hope, and things like that. And we could have one miner, I've named him Silas, don't ask me why, who could have a $50 or whatever an appropriate amount of gift is in his pocket that would be funded by the Chamber of Commerce and would be for a credit to any one of the businesses that participates within our Chamber of Commerce. So the last thing to weave into this idea of mine is that Gladys Forshee has done an amazing amount of work trying to find out the names of the miners that worked in our mines a decade ago. She's gone through public records, draft records, so she has names that we could use to name the miners as well. And so we could use those names and have a friendly Facebook page, unlike the ones that I've been participating in lately, that will say, I found Silas, or, you know, I found David, and there was a message about coyotes or something on this. So this is the idea that I had. Then I know it's complicated because it weaves in our Chamber of Commerce. There'd have to be cooperation from Open Space, SLIC, the Historical Committee to get the names of the miners, and of course CAPS to coordinate this. And I also know that you guys have already gone through your budgeting process, so this might require another request from the Board of Trustees, and I think most of them seem to be amenable to the CAPS committee. And with the recent loss of Heather Craycraft from our Chamber of Commerce, it might take a little bit of extra time to kind of loop the Chamber of Commerce in until they can figure out their next steps with their direction. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thumbs up?
Yeah,
Sideways?
Yeah, it definitely will take a lot of coordination, but we had something to put on our plate to consider
Yeah.
for sure. It's fun.
Do we have it in writing yet?
Oh, I'm happy to draft
It's so
it.
complex, I think that's the kind of thing, maybe.
Okay, I'm
you have
happy
an
to draft it up.
Email or, you know, here's the plan, something like that.
I'm happy to draft
So many
that up.
moving parts.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, oh
It's-
no, that's a great idea.
I'm happy to do that, and I apologize that I can't stay for the whole meeting this evening. My husband is out of town on a last-minute trip, and I have to pick the children up from Ninja Warriors.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your ideas.
Thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Neil?
Yeah, thanks, Daryl. I wanted to just introduce myself as I belong Cindy than me. Daryl mentioned the meeting was coming up, and I thought, you know, I was one of the last entrants into the upcoming Superior Town of Superior Board election, and I've been trying to meet as many people as possible. So I won't belabor the point with who I am and all that. There's a Cliff Notes card in the hallway that I'll drop where you already have it on your doorstep. But I wanted to share a story, and Cindy heard a little bit of this a second ago. About 3 years ago, our family, my family of 4, we took a year-long trip. We took 9 months, and we traveled to 16 countries on 5 continents. I had at the time, as a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. You know, so we quit our jobs. We hit South America first, then we spent about a month in Europe. And the thing that dawned on me when it comes to art, you know, I love art. I cannot paint for the life of me, so I stay as far away from as possible. I love photography. But the thing I realized, and it wasn't until we were in Europe, that art transcends all cultures. Like, it literally doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It completely transcends all cultures, and it helps to bring communities closer together. Not even intentionally. You know, I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit that some of the art, when you finally see it, is underwhelming. Honestly, the Mona Lisa didn't quite do it for me, but when we saw David, I mean, I literally, it took my breath away. I mean, you see pictures, seeing it in person, as big as it was, you know what I'm talking about. It was just, it was awe-inspiring. And, you know, for my kids who were 8 and 10 at the time, I thought they'd be bored out of their minds. They'd be, you know, let's go home. They thrived, they lived, they loved it, all of it. And I think about our town as we evolve and as we start sort of getting to that point, the art's going to be one of the key components of things that people remember. It's not going to be, you know, when it comes to the town board, it's not going to be, you know, how pitched was a roof, how big was a billboard. It was going to be what art did we put and what did it make people feel. And I think, to me, you know, as we think about where we go, this is going to be probably, in my mind, one of the most important committees, because the decisions that get made here are going to have the longest lasting feel for what people see and think about our town. So that's my story, and I just wanted to, you know, kind of share that and let you, you know, see and hear a little bit about me, and I'll drop more of my paraphernalia on your doorsteps if you have any question.
And we'll drop paintbrushes on you.
So my wife loves painting. My daughter is great at it. My son and I, well, my son does it too, but
there's way more to art than just.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, photography has always been it for me. So, you know, we came back from the trip with thousands of pictures, and we're just now starting to print some out. And it's just like, wow, you know, we have 86 pictures of David. Which one do we print?
We're doing the utility boxes. We're wrapping them, and we actually thought photography would be a really nice medium, in addition to other people's, you know, art, you know, painting ideas. So
that's fantastic. Along with painting the prairie dogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am sending each of you the same thing I sent to them earlier in the week. It was a Boulder Daily Camera piece on Longmont's arts program, which has transformed the city. So, as candidates who happen to attend, I'm sending it to you as well with the meeting, and they agree totally with you. So, there you go. That's why I'm not putting anything other here than your name, so in a sec you'll have it.
And you see this in DIA. I mean, DIA to me, you know, the airport's in the middle of nowhere, but, you know, it has got some incredible art inside of it because the city has committed to spending a part of its budget on art. And you look at some of the airports around the world that are just, you know, decrepit, you know, stale places that you want to get out of. DIA is not that way. And it's not just the roofs.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I apologize for the ding and dash.
Any other public comments? Okay, so on to 3, which is the introduction. Cindy Sapucha, is that how you pronounce your? Sapucha. She is the outgoing, though, unfortunately, executive director of Open Studios, but she discovered us and wanted to come and give an intro and talk about some possible partnering and things like that. So, and I didn't realize you're on the board of the Boulder County Arts Alliance.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
The current president until December or January, not quite sure.
So other maybe opportunities there too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just wanted to come and say hi, introduce myself, and say I am super jazzed about what you all have created and are continuing to create here. And as Daryl said, I'm outgoing, so I'm on my way out of this position as executive director of Open Studios, but I'm, one of the things I would like to do now that I'm not going to be doing all the executive directory stuff, which is basically everything, is help kind of create some more partnerships and community stuff with outside of the city of Boulder. The organization Open Studios has focused typically on in and around the city of Boulder, but we do call ourselves a countywide organization, and so I'd love to help kind of usher in a little bit more county participation, I guess. And then that might be one of the reasons why I got involved with the Boulder County Arts Alliance as well. I'm just super excited about what you guys are doing here, and I'd love to figure out ways that maybe the BCAA and Open Studios can help promote the arts in Superior and just make it awesome.
I love what you did. I mean, because we went around on the Open Studios, it's so much fun. If you've never done that, it's just, these artists open up their houses to people and you're like, it's so cool enough, but you only had a boatload of money. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. So thank you for doing that. It's a great idea. What's the difference between the Boulder Open Studios and the Boulder County Arts Alliance? There must be a line there.
So Open Studios is a visual arts organization that originated with the Open Studios tour in Boulder in 1990. I don't know. I can't do math. I'm an artist. It was 24 years ago. 1995.
Yeah.
Yes. And then out of that, it was a popular event, and it has been ever since spring, this organization that has done various visual arts events and programming in and around the city of Boulder and in the county. For example, we just took down a mural that was a community paint by number mural that was up on a building in downtown Boulder. It was something that members of the community, mostly nonprofit organizations, got to paint little sections of. So it was 55 feet tall by 35 feet wide, and it was cut up into 42 sections. And so they were given to people like out Boulder. Yeah, it was super fun, but it took a lot longer to manifest than we had originally intended. It was almost 3-year project.
Mural program. Yeah.
Yeah. So this
we know
yes.
this one.
And it's time
not men.
So ad hoc things like that. We did the Boulder Barrel Project, which was in conjunction with the city of Boulder when rain barrels were made legal, and we could no longer, or we didn't have to hide from the police when we collected rainwater. It had artists like paint rain barrels and put them out all over town, and then they were auctioned off to support a couple of different nonprofits. So things like that, and then ongoing things like the Open Studios tour and the, educational programming, which all over BVSD and a little bit in St. Vrain, artists are paid to go into art classrooms and kind of share their experience and expertise in partnership with art educators. So Open Studios does that stuff. And then Boulder County Arts Alliance is it's a completely different organization. It is, it's a arts service organization. And so what the BCAA does is support all county arts and culture organizations, dance, music, theater, visual arts, all that stuff. There is we have an endowment out of which comes some grant money each year, not huge amounts, but it's a little bit of something for organizations and projects all over the county in arts. And then a bunch of business of arts seminars. Those are like the two big things. They do a lot of stuff, but business of arts workshops. So if you go to the website, there's always something like what's coming up next. You know, like how to promote yourself on social media, how to do your taxes as an artist, you know, and then stuff for nonprofits too, like they've done how to build a better board, how to diversify your board, all kinds of.
Oh, they just did the grant writing thing that I went to.
Yes, yeah.
That was great.
Yes.
The collective.
Yeah. So that organization, BCAA, has partnered with a bunch of different organizations like, you know, the Hub in Lafayette and, yeah, so those are those two organizations that I have my hand in.
So I was just thinking, we were talking at our last sort of mid-month meeting about maybe getting professional artists, and so you might be one to tap into for doing some of like our prairie dog painting project. We haven't designed the program, so we don't really know what it looks like, but we were thinking that we would want, and obviously we'd like superior artists, but we'll, you know, we're a small community, so we might not have enough hands, so hopefully it could be a good resource for us.
I know a lot of artists, and it's really hard because I want to buy all their work, so I understand. But yeah, I'd be happy, you know, any way that you guys think
You're a great resource.
I could help.
We also want to.
Well, that's why I contacted you.
We are going to be hopefully really, by this time next year, have an arts master plan in place. And that goes to funding. And how do you attract funding? How do you get robust funding so you can, you know, have an impact forever and ever, amen?
Yeah.
So I'd love to pick your brain on that.
Definitely. I was around when the city of Boulder did their kind of cultural
And they're refreshing it, because I just went to a
Yes.
meeting today about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I did a lot of the, I wasn't involved in the creation of the plan, but I was they did a lot of community outreach and meetings with, I'm also a professional artist.
What media?
What media? Oh my gosh.
All of them?
All of them. I like to say I've never met a medium I didn't like. Most of my experiences in painting, I used to run a mural painting business in the go-go 90s. And, but metalsmithing, I've been dabbling in ceramics lately too. It's in my name. Yeah, so I like to play with lots of stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
I
and
think
yeah, so.
I was going to say, I originally contacted you about our registry, and
Yes.
you were going to, because you have some experience doing an artist registry, so.
Yeah.
We need your resources.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to help however I
Where do you
can.
live? Are you a Superior resident?
I am not a Superior
Would you
resident.
consider moving here?
I was looking at real estate. Would you consider? I've been looking at real estate, I gotta be honest.
Where do you live?
Unincorporated Boulder
Well, there
County.
you go.
Yeah, I don't get to vote for anybody. It would be nice to live inside an incorporated town, so I
Right.
could
Well,
vote.
And you probably
come
have a
look, we'll
well,
show
too.
you around.
Okay, well, I mean, I come to Superior all the time, you know, Costco. And I know that you guys are like, what the great thing about downtown Superior is like, I'm so excited that it's like Superior is becoming, and Superior's always been here, and it's always been, like a great place to live, the neighborhoods and stuff, but I'm super excited about a lot of the cultural stuff.
I want
that's
you to
going on
finish
here.
that sentence. I'm super excited Superior is becoming, what were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's just more,
A place with a downtown.
it's becoming a place that's more than just,
Rock
that's where the
Creek.
Costco is.
Yeah.
And Rock Creek, yeah.
Yes.
Wait till we have the arts district.
Wait till
Yeah.
The arts district.
Yay, and it's like, you guys are, I feel like you're doing it right, getting started with the arts and culture stuff, like, on the ground floor, and not that, I mean, Superior's been around since, like, forever. But, yeah, yay, and it's a good size to,
Renaissance.
yes.
Inspired by the David.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd love to help.
Wonderful. Well, thank you
Great.
very
Yeah,
much.
thank
for
you.
coming.
It's my pleasure.
Tapped into the expertise.
I'm excited to be here.
All right,
Feel free
item
to stay or.
Item 4 is the Superior Shores Art, and for those of you that are not familiar with what Superior Shores is, it's the new, recently approved by the town board development that is going in off of Colton Road across from, is there a Burger King down there now?
Yeah.
I was
And
surprised to
Freddy's.
see that. Yeah, so they have a couple of,
This is Colton right here.
yeah.
And then this is where the art piece has been approved up on the northwest corner.
So the art, you said the art piece?
Yes, our pieces over the dialogue goes. So, but this is where.
Is this multifamily home?
Can you show them?
Okay, just a minute, I have to figure out where things are
Yeah,
again.
so I have the cross streets here. Hi, everyone, I'm Mayu again. I'm representing Irving Redevelopment, which is building Superior Shores condominiums. There'll be 94 units in this residential development, just to give you a spatial representation. So it's bounded by Autry Reservoir to the north, Coalition Road to the south, Tyler Drive to the west, and West Flatiron Crossings to the east.
Colton, you mean Colton?
Coalton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, what's coalition?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Colton Road, it's a new road.
A lot of people got together to build that road.
Yeah.
Like I say, kind of by the Lions Crossing, that regular.
Yeah, it's.
You're on.
Okay.
Okay, so help us
Right.
understand how large that
Yes,
space
right next
is.
to both sides.
That,
Actually, it's, on this map, it makes this block right
It's
here.
by Horizon.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For a while.
Where the tumbleweeds are right now.
Yeah, and so the art piece will be facing Tyler Street in the northwest. Mhm.
so close to the reservoir. How big is
Yeah.
that space?
I don't have the exact dimensions, which I can get in a second here from my colleague who's on standby. But I'm gonna, so basically, our development firm, we usually include art installations in all of our pieces. Our most current building is in the Rhino District of Denver. We have actually the biggest murals in Denver on both sides of our building. When I'm here next, I'll bring photos of them so you can see. And so as we're building this, so we're basically 2 years out. So by the time we actually get to that northwest corner, because we're starting with the east side, it'll be a little over 2 years from now. But we wanted to speak with you all to basically see what values the town of Superior has, what artistic values, what trends the town of Superior is moving in. And basically, I'm here to really listen and harvest ideas from your committee that I can then take back to my development firm, and then we can spread that out through our network. And from there, we can bring in different artist proposals. So we didn't want to just bring in art that didn't mesh with the town.
So Mayu, is that how you pronounce your name, Mayu?
Yeah.
Before you get started, I'm actually a trustee. And so the recommendation we also made is, in addition to the art, you're intending to put a playground in, that playground actually take on an artistic feel. So it had a theme, and that some of the toys, what do you call it?
Climbing structures,
Structures,
play structures.
actually look like art, but they're functional art. Kids can play on them. So that in fact you have a little more of an artistic bent than just that one piece of art. And presenters that night were very keen on that idea. So
Great, thanks for
didn't know if that got communicated to you.
Not fully, no. I'm pretty new with the team, and so I
Well, the
appreciate
one
that
example
review.
that you brought up at the last meeting was actually on Pearl Street, you know, where they have like the frogs and all those, and the kids are constantly playing on those. It's kind of a destination.
But what also came to mind was we commissioned a piece of art, the town, this group ran the project, the town approved it. It's a huge piece of $200,000 art. We had 110 applications, and a lot of those had things in their portfolio that would just make super cool art.
Great.
In a playground or in a multi-use area. And so rather than more of the same old plastic stuff in the playground, to actually do something that transcends that and actually takes on a little bit of an artistic feel.
Great.
So anyway.
So I can maybe
go
share my
ahead.
email with you, and I could get those.
Well.
And I actually, we have a Pinterest site that the CAPS committee does, and on there's a board that has one called Playgrounds, and in it there's all kinds of cool playground ideas and things that look like sculpture, but you actually climb on them. And it will add value to your development because your condos are starting at $500,000 or more. So you've got high-end people that aren't probably going to really love looking at plastic playground equipment or one little swing or something like that. So if you go outside of that a little bit more and challenge yourself, you'll have some amazing stuff that not only is functional but is beautiful.
How does she get to our site?
Are you familiar with Pinterest?
Yeah.
So you just look up CAPS, C-A-P-S.
Your board.
CAPS committee, and I can invite you, if I have your email, I can invite you to look at it.
Okay.
But we have all kinds of cool stuff.
Do you want Patrick to call it up?
Go ahead and bring it up.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this Tyler?
No,
That's Colton. That's Colton.
The one that's going up, that's Colton.
To the right.
What's this?
That's that street going into the
It's
mall.
by the mall.
It goes by the mall. This is Tyler.
Oh, okay, now I understand. All right, and forgive me, I'm gonna run to my car for my glasses. I think I can do a better job with my
And then
glasses.
on the play structure, I think we talked about mixed opinions on whether we liked this, but we talked about that example in downtown Denver, that kidney bean structure, which is not intended as a play structure, but something along.
Do people climb on that?
I think kids try to, but I don't think they're supposed to.
So the only thing I wanted to, and we looked at this, and mind you, I'd have to pull my what we were working with initially. It's narrow, so there's definitely, we're very, very, very height restricted.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember who was doing the landscape design, but I know that as long as we're aware of the fall height, I think we had 8 feet on either side.
Okay.
That was the fall height.
So Patrick, how would you address with Mayu what the approval how would this be approved?
I think it can just show up in the FDP, the final.
Okay.
So right now, we've kind of got more or less a placeholder in there.
Okay.
It went from just kind of a grass surface. We recommended that there be some kind of play amenity in there because this will be the only play structure on this side of Rock Creek,
Right.
or I'm sorry, Rock Creek.
Right.
Other than what's privately owned.
Right.
ProStack's weighed in on something very similar in terms of play, but not so much the aesthetics. So yeah, I think it can show up in the FDP, and we can have a pre-dialogue too on if it's meeting.
But it probably should be somewhat specific in the FDP in terms of
And it is-
pieces and height and stuff.
And it is now, so I think we've got plenty of time to make
Yeah.
revisions.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
plenty of time to
excellent.
make revisions.
Yeah, so it will be, we'll be privately owned, and it'll be maintained by us, the owners, or through the HOA most likely,
Right.
so the homeowners association.
So you had the original question, which is what kind of art, style, whatever would
Themes.
this group like? So let's return it back to this conversation.
Right, I was gonna say, we could probably, have a smaller meeting and we can show you some of the, participants.
Yeah, that's exactly what
That, for our previous RFP and what we narrowed, kind of maybe the top 10. And why we liked it, so you can, and actually, fun for you to see how wildly different so many of them are, and then why our process for eliminating, and of course, it's a completely different, geographical location, but, so we do have some artists that we really loved too, so if there's some that you'd like, you could always contact them directly, so.
And then if you've got art elsewhere that you'd like to show this subgroup, then they can say, yeah, we love that, or, oh, not so much.
Yeah, we have art and artists. We have a big artist community due to our location where we're at in the Rhino. Have you all been to the Rhino District?
Oh, yeah.
The arts and everything? Okay, great. Yeah, with Crush. We work directly with Crush artists, and we've done some funding for the Crush Artist Collective. So,
Actually, is there some way
them.
that she can share, I mean, if we have a smaller group, that you could share, like, even visual photos of stuff that you've done? That would be kind of cool.
Patrick can call it up. I called it up very easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
What's your development?
Factory Flats is the name of the building where you'll see our murals at Irving Redevelopment. Yeah, we can pull it up right now.
Can you call up Factory Flats?
Yeah, one of them just, did anyone attend the recent Crush Festival that happened last month in Denver? That's when they redo the majority of the murals and so basically, highlighting impermanence and.
I have been 3 times.
Okay, so, let's see, so unfortunately, these pictures, so those are all our blueprints.
Is there
That one
you can see that
you can
first
see
one
it
right
there, but that's not a very good
And that's the old one, that's
image.
last year's.
That one's there still, but then the
Is
one
it?
on the other side of the building, they're actually famous Italian artists. They're world famous, and they put this beautiful mural of Mercury, the god. I want to bring them next time because I feel like this picture is worn and not doing us justice. Yeah, I
Is
have
there
a
a
much
picture
clearer
online?
picture of that.
Is there a picture online of Mercury?
Probably if you went to
Ellen,
Crush.
could you see
Yeah,
Factory
yeah,
Flats
though.
Mercury and see if it comes up?
Let me see. Let me get the exact name.
There's a picture of a Mercury.
Yeah, I could do Rhino.
Yeah, I was gonna
Or
say
again,
Arcade
I can
Crush,
bring
maybe.
the good pictures that I have next time.
Is there a budget? Do you guys have a budget
We
number?
currently do not have the budget set.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of that is due to the fact that there's still a few things shifting being this far out. But I also was gonna ask you all what the installations or pieces usually run around. Or they probably range.
It depends on.
We don't have a track record.
Yeah, we don't have the usual.
We've only been here a year.
Okay, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they're usually 250,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, our track record average is 250,000.
All right.
Is there
Rolling high.
Is there any possibility of using local superior artists for any of this?
Yeah, I mean, we're open. We're actually really open at this stage. We also, we have, because we partner with Crush, they basically kind of, what's a better word to say, debt. We have a relationship with them where we commission some pieces that we haven't gotten yet. And so we could work partially with Crush artists, partially with local artists, or we could work with local artists. We're here to see what our options are.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also the possibility, like our call for artists was asking for them to create an original piece. And some artists have, sort of an off-the-shelf piece. So that's why I was asking about budget, because there could be an artist that you like that you could get more of not as quite a custom piece from them.
Most artists have back inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to call it that,
It's
they're-
beautiful.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think
that's
they
right,
all
or even,
shop.
and it could be
Beautiful,
redone.
It's existing art, it
Right.
is still
Existing.
unique.
But it might cost less than
Sure.
a 100% commissioned piece. I mean, we've asked Dow not to recreate that piece that he's creating out here anywhere else.
We're all about
I see
refurbishing.
my personal thing, and do not be biased by this, we had some that was very colorful, involving various metals and whatnot, that was very colorful, and I'm not seeing a specific piece in my mind, but it's whimsical and colorful and just, fun. And so with the water there and your overall mission, it just sort of pops in my head, we'd have to
Is
look it
that
up.
the Dow piece, though?
No, the Lee, I think you were thinking of the.
Oh, no, CJ was his name, his first name. He had very vibrant
Colors?
metal
Oh, okay.
pieces.
I don't know, but,
He
because we
submitted
looked
like
at
5.
110 of them, but I do think you'd have fun going through this.
Yeah, I definitely will.
They're the chair and vice chair, and I'm sure they could share that with you, and maybe something will just click.
Yeah, yeah, so is that where I should look for the themes? I know coal mining is a theme and.
We don't say that.
We don't like.
We don't say that.
We have so many coal miners.
We've already got
Think
kind
of
of,
that.
we've already got kind of a collection of bronze representational pieces that have to do with history and coal mining.
Okay.
And so we're open to other things,
Right.
put it that way.
Patrick, can you call up Dal
Maybe with
Bloomberg's approved art for the roundabout? Have you seen that?
Oh, no, I
Oh,
haven't yet.
well, it's
If you
not
just
coal
go to art
miners.
and-
Okay.
I have a question for you, that I will bring up later on. What about the possibility
Or
of
Emily,
somewhere
why do I keep saying Patrick? I keep looking
facilities
at
that
them.
you're doing, having a place where artwork could rotate? Like a display area? Yeah, like, between your location and other places within the town.
Yeah.
But this is what,
And then with the rhino theme of keeping it fresh.
Yeah. Go down to the, that one, I think.
Oh, yeah, I have seen, oh, yeah.
That's what's going in our roundabout. And those are not miners.
No. They're more like wind.
They could have been miners.
Oh, we could have
Miners
standing up little lamps on them. There's still time. And
They
lunch
could be
buckets.
anything.
And they're not miners.
And they're made of circles.
I like that.
rings,
Rings,
rings that interlock.
Circles. Rings. It's long day.
Great. Okay, so.
Yeah, so I think our
Good
theme is
places to
pretty
start.
open.
Okay.
So,
Can we look back at the site plan for Superior Shores and where the playground is, or where the art is?
And the name Superior Shores sort of sounds like a vacation
And
place.
so where is that
where you
in
would
the
expect
context
to
of
see
the whole?
something, colorful and exciting,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Yeah, we
one
love,
thing-
yeah, I mean,
So that would be
our.
toward the reservoir side then? Because I,
actually
Maybe
for the
some kind of
playground.
water
Yeah.
theme.
well, because I was thinking as, part of why I know that you all selected the as Zephyrs and Triptych was for preserving the views and kind of having that airiness. So I'm thinking there will still be the views of the reservoir, so whatever art there is, we'd want to make sure that
Yeah.
we still preserve those views of the reservoir.
That's a great point.
Right.
Great.
Good opportunity.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts, comments, things they'd like to add?
There are a lot of prairie dogs over there.
Different meeting.
That's a tough one on the
But the,
developer
Are they
side.
3D printed for
So my youth, this is my last meeting of this board, and then I'm gonna be here as just the resident pest. That, I think that the objective of this whole group, please disagree with me if you don't, if I'm not saying it right, is that as you go through town, you want the element of wonder and of surprise. We don't want it all to feel the same. We want it to be deliberately different, so that it's this thing over there, and have you seen that different thing over there, and that other different thing, et cetera. So to energize just with the differences, right? So you don't have to worry about fitting into a theme or a pattern. As a matter of fact, just the opposite.
Great.
Well, and architecturally, it's pretty modern and contemporary, the townhomes, if I recall, are condos, so.
Yeah.
It might be behoove you to, or us to pick a piece that reflects that a little bit more.
All right. see. So looking at moving forward with this, we have some time, but when should I return next for us to continue the conversation? I can look through the different, or we said meeting.
Yeah, I would say
smaller meeting.
I would say maybe like first quarter next year.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And then we can sort of be a little more prepared with some of the.
It really depends though on her schedule too. When do you want it, when's the FDP gonna come
I
forward?
don't know.
Right, so you're
So it-
amenable to work with her schedule as well.
Absolutely, if the FDP's coming forward sooner,
Yeah.
we'd rather
Yeah.
work with you, whenever is.
Okay.
But meanwhile, you can have this meeting with whoever you
Mhm.
designate,
Yeah.
Carol, anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay.
We
Sure, I get everyone's
can,
email.
we can review our criteria, which might help you going forward to make your RFP or.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we see interest.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you for considering our
Very
input.
exciting.
Yeah.
Then, Mike, can you follow up just on the footprint that we're, like whatever the physical space.
Yeah, just that space. Yeah.
For the playground?
So I'll send that to
No,
the
for
committee
that.
here.
Oh, for that area.
So we state foot feet, whatever utilities are over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so for that whole,
Yeah, just that kind of point.
you got it. I'll get that from our guys.
Okay, do you need anything else from us?
I don't.
Okay.
I think, yeah, and I just want to say that, Emily, you have my email address, but really feel free to email me. The committee can at any time. I'm available to continue the conversation.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll probably stay for the next presentation.
Okay, so number 5, Town of Superior entryway signage. You're up, Rodney. So we saw these originally, just the 2 horizontal, and it looks like they've added vertical components.
I've got some boards that everybody can, you can do it right at you, I'm sorry.
No, we haven't
No, we
You said
just
you
passed,
saw them.
we passed around an original drawing of how they had them.
There are, my artists that I work with at Da Vinci Art have been around for a long time in the sign business and designing different signs and things. And Casey, who's working on this with me, I think came up with some really great pieces for you guys to see. And we have a budget that we have to adhere to, which was not the $250,000 budget.
Yeah.
So, in trying to adhere to that, what you see in front of you is something that's very close to the budget that was given to us to manage. And we wanted to propose a few things that had, some of the art that you've been talking about all night. Not only that, but something that's a little bit new, but it has to still be big and impactful because of it's going to tell everybody where you are. So there are still a lot of people that come to our towns that have no idea where they are.
Where is it going?
So I can bring up a map really quick.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
This is 16.
So we've got 3 locations, so at entry points into the town. So the first one,
Are these like 3 different signs or just 3 options where to put them?
This would be 3 different locations where you guys would want new signs.
With the sign.
And
So we want one in each location, is that?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be the same sign, they could all be different. We would like to get your feedback on this.
Say that again.
Exciting.
So they can be different or they can be the same. So we would appreciate the feedback on that.
Okay, I'm lost. Oh, this is coming into the,
Off 36.
yeah, okay.
Right, right.
This is.
Costco is over to the
Yeah,
right.
yeah, okay, off the diamond.
Here's the DDI edited version diamond interchange, the Caslin. And so it's this right here is what we're looking at. That's.
Oh, right there. Right, yeah, you turn right, you go into Target.
That's cool.
So do you envision the horizontal one there or the vertical one there?
well, interestingly enough, we've had a little bit of back and forth about a lot of this, and I know that surprises no one. So, a couple that have been popular were this one as well as this. Given the area of that one, this one may not be as great as something like this. And what we would do, you know, once everybody decides how they kind of want it to look, is I'll come in and take some photos and we'll superimpose it in place so that everybody can take a good look at where it will be and how it will fit in.
One point that comes to mind, would you, the president, you're writing, hello, the name is on there. We've had previous things not work because if there's any landscaping around the base there that then grows into the word Superior, that looks pretty high, but likewise, we can't have stop sign, signage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we move some of those, so it doesn't- like the one way, so it doesn't block it?
I think
It has
We
to.
can't?
Yeah, I think what's here will have to stay, basically because of where traffic and everything has to
So
have their
what we
signs.
don't want it to do is be superior, because yes, it's
Right.
obliterated, that kind of thing.
I think we got it high enough. This one overall height is 20 feet.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
How's 20?
So you're talking the base, you know, down here being over 5 feet, you're probably up around 6 feet, somewhere in this area.
4'3"
Sorry.
And if they're not mowing the lawn, is that what it says?
Yes.
no, I meant the sign.
The
See,
base
that's
is
The actual letter, where's the
The
letter?
base is 4'3". So he doesn't actually have it here, so I would put that probably at 8 feet. So it would be somewhere around 8 feet here.
So that might be right in line with that one-way sign, if it's 8 feet.
It's probably actually a little bit higher than the one-ways.
There's an old column on the.
You want to make sure the
side
name
of the bridge.
Superior is not
It's
included.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
The
okay.
column here is about 8 feet.
Oh, that's good perspective.
So if the grass gets that high, we can talk.
We're not talking that grass. We're talking about decorative grass.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's
That sign, yeah.
Well, and you know, when we show landscaping around, we try to complement the area, but we never want to put anything in there that's going to go up that high, you know. And we wouldn't be doing the landscaping, it's just suggested by us. So the landscaping would come from the city as a final.
Well, that's my point, is sometimes the fact two different people do it doesn't lead to good results.
I'll be happy to have conversations with you.
Well, my first thought on this, and this was one of the major criteria that we had for the roundabout, is as you're approaching from Rock Creek down McCaslin and then from the Diamond Interchange, you're competing with all of the lights and all of the trees. And so we really sought a piece that had some horizontal perspective to it, so it would stand out, you know. This seems hefty enough that it's not going to compete with the light pole and the signs, right? But
Are you looking at the horizontal or the vertical?
Yeah, they're different views. So, you know, we've got a lot of vertical going on right here. So although this seems, how wide is this?
9 feet.
9 feet.
Yeah.
That's my first thought.
And I agree with
against the vertical versus the horizontal.
Yeah, I
in
agree,
that
like,
spot.
this is all horizontal and vertical, and so that it mimics all the signs, everything that's, you know, this way and this way. And we have other signage that another company is putting in somewhere that they offered a much more organic and rounded edges sort of piece, you know, so I think that the more organic, you know, curves that you can build into it, the more it's gonna stand out from all those verticals and horizontals.
Sure.
Like, this is totally like a sign pole.
Right.
Well,
But-
And
but-
that is just a concept.
Yeah, the other one that had that vaulted top, that's more organic.
Like this one we've been talking about?
Yes.
yeah.
So, and the other thing that could happen, and I know budget's budget, but what we had originally done is shown some LEDs within the inside, because what you can't really tell here is, well, you can on this picture. Actually, let's go this way.
I can bring that.
Can you?
Oh, yeah, and the thing that appealed to me.
If you look at these, they have colors inside.
I wonder if we want to go around and look at locations and then talk more about which designs we want to.
Okay, that's a good
Let's just,
idea.
maybe if we just
sure.
stay on focus and then come around, and everybody can sort of think about the locations, which one they think is best, if they like them or they don't like them. Because, you know, not liking them is also a possibility.
all of them.
Yeah,
You can see how the LED lighting illuminates on the inside, so it also gives it another impact at night.
And as a point of reference, this group, these guys did design for us at Wildflower Park, as well as help coordinate the landscaping, so you can go see what the backlighting looks like. And it's sharp.
Wildflower Park's backlit? The
How do
sign?
you not know that?
Because I'm never out there looking, I go
You
the
live
other way.
next door.
No, I go the other
Part of
way.
the AM
I go
crowd.
straight. They didn't put lights around the path. Come on.
Okay,
I'm
so
out
let's
there
go
today.
back
To
to
the locations.
locations. So that, there's one coming off the Diverging Diamond. It's sort of the entryway to town.
Okay, where's the next one?
So the next one is Colton Road, so again, looking at Superior Shores. So it's actually right about where this pole is. So there's an easement right here, and it has been dedicated for a monument sign.
I like that.
So bigger picture is right about here.
I really like that, because people think they're still in Broomfield.
Right, so Broomfield, right there, the line is right around here.
Yeah.
And there's a retaining wall right here, and then the monument sign.
Nice. And do we know Superior Shores, what is, what the visual impact of Superior Shores is if we're gonna put this
There's a
particular?
hotel right there, there's not condos there.
Oh, this is where the hotel will
That's
be?
where the hotel is.
Okay.
Okay.
This is
So
straight across
we
from,
wanna-
this is straight across from Chick-fil-A, so they'll be able to see it, right? there.
Isn't that where the hotel is?
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A's on the side.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a hotel
So
in this
it's
corner.
probably parking lot, driveway and parking lot and a hotel back behind it, not there.
That was gonna be my question, is what's gonna be right there, so we don't wanna do is impact anybody's vision looking out. So that might be someplace where we have to think of a lower profile area versus
Well,
taller, but.
you can coordinate that with staff, but in fact, it has to be self-contained area, not just a sign. And I would assume we would have a landscape plan that complements it so that it's its own little corner,
Yeah.
We
right?
were thinking entryway bed with the planning material that
Right,
seems to work well.
gotcha. Good.
And there aren't really views this direction anyway, so I doubt
Yeah.
Superior Shore residents would
They may
complain
want to
about
be blocked from the view.
From the Walmart and the Chick-fil-A.
Okay, location.
But always good to check with staff to make sure.
Sure.
And then last but not least, location number 3 is Highway 128. So we're.
Oh, right there.
Looking at so this is 128 or Highway 128 and then Caslin.
Oh, that's a
So
dramatic
we were
location.
thinking somewhere in here. And then we also got.
That's a good possible horizontal one.
Yeah, which way would that one face? Because there are the several approaches. Or not decided yet.
So that's.
Nothing's been decided. It's
Here.
still.
So like right on top of the flat area.
Cool.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Okay.
And that's such a big open area, it could be something really.
Yeah.
But do we need something coming from the other direction?
Yeah, that's what I was
Right,
saying about
yeah.
this way, you have so many angles you could see it
Exactly.
from, so it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Or maybe that we do something that's more vertical, that has sign on either side. So
Three-dimensional,
we
yeah.
might potentially be able to look at that if we've got intersecting areas
Oh,
that we
it's
can
two-sided.
get both sides, and we can add that in.
We'd almost need 3 sides for this one.
So,
So the important piece to remember is that the other side, Boulder County, and we would not be able to install signage on their side.
That's what we're saying,
okay.
a two-sided sign.
Yeah, so you,
Yeah.
everything needs to stay in the seat out right.
No, he's
Oh,
talking
yes.
one sign that's
One side that has
three-sided.
multiple sides around it, basically.
So when you're approaching from both ways.
Right.
Yeah, so you come from both ways on 128 and you come up from Caslin, so it would almost need to be like a triangular sign with 3 faces.
I doubt you're gonna.
If you're triangular and distinctive, you could incorporate all the LED lighting and, almost be really much more creative with that distinctive coming into Superior rather than the other two are kind of.
Where are those boards?
Right.
Here, right in front of me. Like this horizontal one, if that were hollow in the middle?
It is.
Okay, there you go. And it's 3-sided?
Well, that one's two-sided, but yeah, three, we
It
can
at least
actually
has to be
expand it into
two-sided.
that.
One hopes if you're leaving Superior, maybe you know where you've been.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is do we need 3? Because you're not entering Superior as you go that way.
Yeah. Let's not make it overly complex.
So when do we know?
Rock or no?
No, so they're metal,
Metal.
yeah, basically fabricated metal by.
Is it that self-aging metal? or-
It's not Corten. We originally talked about Corten, but with budgets and the way things
That's
are
what,
rolling, Corten's very expensive.
That's what the.
They're doing, yeah.
Downtown Superior's coming
Yeah.
into.
So,
If I might say, I think at this location, there might be some sort of public pushback against anything too tall, because it is quite a beautiful front range right there. That's the peak spot up there. And I'm afraid there might be some public pushback about,
So Marcy, that's great, because across the street, across 128 is a new thing going in.
Is it what?
New, well, new apartment complex. there.
Right across the street there?
No, not right across, but possibly in the view corridor.
What is that, Broomfield, Arvada?
It's Broomfield.
Broomfield.
So,
So Patrick, do you know where that
long
development's
things
going
can
in
certainly
right
be
there?
attractive and lit and everything.
I don't
But I
know.
would worry
It's
about
closer to
a blocking
Stonegate, I think.
It's closer to Stonegate,
Fly away
yeah. So anyway, it's worth considering, but it's probably far enough away that it's not an issue.
maybe what we need to do is take a run out there and just kind of take some photos, different views and angles, and figure out what fits best.
Everybody around here is concerned about infringement of views.
Well, and rightfully so. We have some
Yeah,
of those beautiful
and
views.
you're looking at open space right there. So, blocking the view of open space.
Well, I don't think that we need, because there's nothing around it, I don't think we need anything extremely tall. I think we just need something that's lower to the ground that makes a great statement.
And illuminated, because it is
This
dark
one-
and crazy there. Yeah,
This one I
definitely.
feel like is a great kind of idea for that area. You know,
Yeah.
The way to make it double-sided might be a little tricky.
Like
but-
the one
So
on
do
the
we
right
want to
over
do
there.
like either go around the room or give a head nod to this style that we like and then focus on that? Because I have specific, some of them say Town Superior, some say Superior Colorado.
yeah.
Some of the logos are lit, not lit, things like that. So maybe if we,
Is there a standard town policy on that, so that you're branding in a
On
same
what?
way? Well, Town of Superior or Superior,
We've had this discussion, if you want to already be biased by a previous discussion. I said, being a marketer, you stay true to your logo, but that was rapidly nullified in that conversation. They said, nope, we like Superior, Colorado. So in case you don't know what state you're in, it tells you. I think that was.
Euphoria.
Yeah, state of euphoria.
well, we've never been one to just stick with what has been said. So I still think that it's up for us to discuss whether we like Superior, Colorado or Town of Superior. You guys don't have to take our
Could you
recommendation, but we certainly.
Town of
can have that.
Superior, Colorado, and have all of it?
I visually like how Superior, Colorado looks, but I like Town of Superior better. That's my personal preference. But do we want to, so who likes the one that Sandy's holding up best?
Which one?
So there's
Well,
the
which
vertical
one?
and the horizontal component. So
Okay, somebody hold on. Karen, hold
For this one.
I like
is there someplace we can just?
No, so I think that, so
Okay,
there's
here.
basically two styles. And
Let me hold both of
you
them up.
don't have to put the horizontal and the vertical. So you could use the horizontal in one place and the vertical in the other.
Well, they're all up here too, so.
Yeah.
Your big screen.
Everybody can look at it.
So the way I envision it, so like at the entry, you could decide to have the horizontal, and then at Superior Shores, you could have the vertical, or horizontal, vertical, I'm doing the wrong thing, of the same style. So I think we want to pick a style, whether it's this style or the more organic, yeah.
Because it's kind of like
Can they be
a
combined?
vertical, horizontal that match, and so there's like two base designs.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
One is a rectangle.
Right, one
and
is-
one is
Not a rectangle.
Not a rectangle.
More artistic, for sure.
Yeah.
Or the artistic one best.
Yeah.
So you want to take a vote?
Yeah, so who,
I don't think I have it.
but I'm not saying that those are it, I'm saying that we want to pick a style and then we can work on the details of it. We can talk about whether it's Town of Superior. Like, for example, this one, I hate the fact that there's so much rock and you don't see the logo. And I wonder if there's a way to work around that a little bit more. So, you know, those are the kind of details that I'm thinking that we can discuss if you have.
So you're saying you would like to see this bigger?
And the words. I mean, I know that's 9 feet wide, but the stone is overwhelming to the words, whereas in this one, it makes sense because it feels much more balanced.
That one.
The horizontal version of it is much more balanced.
But if you guys like this one, you can suggest that this actually be made broader at a certain point, so this name can be
That's a good idea.
Yeah, certainly.
Because you can change that, I mean, it's something.
Yeah.
Or we don't have to like either style, you know.
And this is putting our people on the spot, you know, raising hands and stuff. I think everybody should have permission to abstain if they don't feel comfortable.
Well, of course.
But then you don't count as the vote. That's the point. If what Daryl's trying to do is to have you guys say, we prefer going down this path versus the other path. So if you abstain, the people who do vote carry the day. So
Right.
just so you know.
Right.
Okay, should we go first on gonna be like Town of Superior versus Superior, Colorado?
You want to vote on that first?
I think so, because I think that, like for me, because I prefer the Town of Superior, so if I'm looking at this and we
They would put
move
Town
the
of
logo,
Superior.
they'd put Town of Superior first, in
Yeah.
which case it changes, you know, how we would tweak it, so.
That's a very simple change for me.
Yeah,
So Town of Superior or Superior, Colorado is something that's very simple.
yeah, so when we go forward and looking at all of them to vote, if you have one or the other in your head, it might be easier to look at it, so that's just.
So you want to vote first on whether you prefer Superior, Colorado, or Town?
Or Town of Superior, I think so.
Okay. So,
Or are neutral.
yeah, or you don't, it doesn't matter.
And these came up this way because I just asked that you give us a couple of ideas on, you know, which would look better with what, so that would give you guys, you know, something to think about as well.
Now,
I think I have to clarify though, hasn't Superior, Colorado been decided by the trustees?
Not decided, discuss.
Oh, okay.
Well, and two things on Superior, Colorado versus Town of Superior. I agree with if you're branding something, it should be kind of stuck with whatever that is. And that doesn't really have anything to do with caps. Coming here from the Midwest, to be perfectly honest, when you talk about something being Town of Superior, that's kind of, to me, it's kind of dorky. It's like saying the Town of Boulder, the Town of Broomfield, right? The
But
Town
those
of
aren't towns,
Arvada.
those are cities.
Well, right, and that was, because when you're in Illinois, everything is pretty much a village. So it would be the village of Arlington Heights, but you would never say that. So I guess in a way, if you want to have it appeal beyond Superior and that type of thing, because you're trying to attract businesses and residents from all over the place, that Town of Superior is, it's almost, from my perspective, is what are you trying to say kind of thing, so.
Maybe too provincial.
Or something.
Keeping it too rural, maybe?
Rural.
But we are, right?
You are.
We're small. I don't think we should try to be Broomfield, right? We are a small town, so that's why I liked that, yeah.
So is it possible to take the cutout metal idea of the rectangular ones and use it on the organics? Because I like that cutout metal. Yeah. But I like the ones that are differently shaped.
You mean add some shape to the one that she's got here?
Yeah, or just use that, because I really like that cutout metal. But I don't
So
really
you're
like
liking
the squared edges.
The cutouts
Yeah,
in behind.
yeah.
That kind of goes along with the rings
triptych,
of the
yeah.
triptych.
Well,
With a
that's
cutout.
a ways away though, you
I know,
geographically.
but we're still kind of keeping a theme going along. It's not a solid piece of metal or rock or what have you.
So, yeah, we could certainly add an element of that kind of porous look that you're talking about and openings in here. That's not a problem.
But then I wouldn't match it up with the crisscross, then it doesn't make.
Right,
Yeah,
so
that's-
it'll create a change
Exactly.
throughout.
The crisscross, I think, is the
And what also
point.
creates a change, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but, you know, we have a backer in there, so if you can, I don't know if everyone can see, but, you know, in behind, we have this stone piece in the back, right? So that kind of gives it a break. And in this you have, or in the previous one, it's more of a...
That's stone, or no, that's metal?
It's metal, but it's, and you can see that it's square, but it's hollow on the inside, so I don't know how that'll play out and how it'll look. We'll just have to design it and take a look at it.
Could you just flesh out the lighting elements of this one?
Here?
Yeah, how?
So the LEDs on the inside, so the sign, you know, these illuminate obviously, but then at night, this will illuminate.
That looks cool.
You know, the same way we're talking about this one, only the background, you know, the color changing will illuminate different ways. Or you could just do a static color too, if you didn't want to have a color
Would that be
changing feature.
coordinated with the Starbucks right across the street? Going to Caesars, that's what I did. Like, oh yeah, then you have Tesla right away.
Yeah. So going back to the discussion of Town of Superior versus Superior, Colorado, completely recognize that this might be way too busy for our sign, but has there been any thought to Town of Superior, Colorado?
I think that
It's a lot of text, but
Too
okay.
busy.
that's too much.
Another thing about Town of Superior, and I'm not trying to influence this discussion, but there has been a move considered to make us a, what is that? Not a statutory town, but the other, home rule town, in which case, are we then the town still, or then are we the city of Superior?
No, I think we can remain.
We can remain the town, okay.
Because of the size?
Just by choice.
I think by choice.
We can remain the town, or we
Isn't
may
there
become
a population
just
cap
plain old Superior.
where we cross over between town
Our
and
size
city?
already counts as a city, we've just chosen to
Yeah, I think
remain a
it's
town.
all, I mean, I think if you want to remain in town, you can.
Oh, okay.
I want to say 10%. I just know we are one.
But what we don't want to do
But we chose to.
is choose to be Superior and have our sign say Town of Superior.
Right.
So that's, we don't have to settle tonight on anything, but those are, like, even the simplest little question of us becomes complicated.
Right.
You want to rule out some
No,
of
but,
them?
oh yeah, that's a good point.
I think we've had a good discussion and probably can eliminate some things in the interest of, you know, trying to accomplish things so that with our agenda and not put things off to future meetings, which we inevitably have to
But
do.
I think this group is being asked to weigh in on which look is more appealing to it. So by the end of the discussion, which road do you
Well, I
want?
think which look and whether you prefer Superior color, and we can just write it down. We don't have to, right now, it doesn't have to be a fight, and we don't have to be unanimous, but I do think that having some understanding of which we prefer would be a good idea. So the reality is there's a horizontal and a vertical version, so there's two signs to consider. And so, if you guys are okay with that, let's just go around the room and decide whether we prefer the more organic, horizontal and vertical.
And again, I can see us bringing this out a little bit more here to enlarge this area, so don't let that sway your judgment one way or another. Or maybe you should, I don't know. But we can increase the size of this that way.
Okay, so who is in favor of organic? No, that's pretty unanimous. Okay, so then who wants to start the discussion and talk about what they like and don't like about these? We've already got like the idea of it having the texture from the original one, the first one.
Oh, about this one then?
Not this one, the other one, though. She was thinking this texture to be on more
The
this
horizontal.
style.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, that's okay. I just really liked that.
Yeah, are we saying that we want all three of them to be the same?
It helps with the cost.
I think so. I think
Yes.
if the cost is
Okay.
less, and I think, again, it's that branding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the same being it's either horizontal or vertical.
Oh,
Right, right.
So this one's out, but I really like that one, and the point that you made is that it's really balanced between the sign, the words, and the shape, and it's pretty, I mean, it's nice.
Yeah,
And I love the
agree.
lighting in that one.
You're talking that one, Karen?
Yeah,
This one here.
yeah.
And there's no reason why we can't put some of the openings from the other side into this too, to give it a little bit more of a depth in there as well. So that might be a possibility. I could talk with my designer about it. And all of these signs were designed basically with the same kind of rough budgeting in mind. So any of these will apply. You don't have to have any particular one single sign to go into all three places like you were discussing earlier. I think having a different sign in each location is not a bad idea either.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Your
Because
budget's not affecting
this is the one for the low spot where you don't want to block the mountains.
When we had talked out.
And the other ones, the organic,
120, yeah.
you know, are better in the
Same
other
feet,
places.
but
horizontal and vertical.
Horizontal
Same
versus
style.
vertical, but
Yeah.
the same design.
Yeah.
So they go together.
But this one just isn't balanced, like
Yeah, I
it just,
agree.
it's,
Yeah.
the way that the shape at the top of the crisscross is so heavy.
So
that-
Daryl, would you entertain it saying Superior, Colorado, this way on it?
Possibly, yeah, and changing the location of the logo. I mean, you have to see, sometimes you just have to see it to go, no, I don't like it.
So, yeah. So
Looks like it's gonna fall over.
Well, and it'll be even more so if
It's
it
a
goes
really
out.
nice- I think there's a nice balance between the traditional,
It might be a little
Yeah.
serif sort of,
weirdly heavy or.
wording
Yeah.
of Superior with the abstraction of the crossbars up above. I think there's a nice marriage of the traditional versus the organic in that.
Say it again.
The kind of block lettering is so very traditional, and then the vaulted, you know, unusual shape there with the kind of abstractly applied horizontals and verticals makes a really nice balance and counterbalance the way it is.
So
And
you
the
like
idea
the
of this-
contrast.
The idea of this look for him was, this is kind of a flat iron stone look, so you get a breakup. So when you look at it here, remember your visual spots that you're gonna see are actually the sides of here. You don't see as much in this picture because of the way it's shown. But if you're straight on, you're looking at it more this way.
Oh,
So you
it
see
looks
a
a
little bit
different
of both
shape.
sides,
Yeah.
when you're looking at it straight on. And then
Okay.
you have the flat iron kind of look in the front.
Oh, so over here on the left, is that what it looks like on the side?
That would be a straight back view.
Okay. And is it
So
lit
like
on
as
there?
you're coming off the highway, that's what you'd see.
No, the hotel would see that.
We're talking about the highway location
No,
and
we're
the,
talking about this for, not 128.
Your view here, you can see there's a sign on either side. So it's set up to be on a two-way, so you can see it coming in,
Right.
either way.
Oh, so you already have letters here and letters here.
Mm-hmm.
On the front and the back, and I'm assuming the LED lighting is on the front and the back.
It's on the inside, actually.
Inside, but you'll see it from front.
But you'll see it from
Yeah.
both sides, yeah. So that's why this, when he puts this view in, and it's so hard to see, but you can see the cutout from on either side. So that's up here on either side.
So a question for
Same view
you.
from both sides.
If you look at some campaign signs that are out in a bright sunny day, they're hard to read because you see through them, so the copy on the back obstructs the clear read of the copy on the front. And since this is cut out, is there something in there that disallows you from seeing that cutout and making them compete with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think,
So, for example, through that logo, would you be seeing
oh no.
stuff on the other side clear all the way through?
No, so this face is solid here. There may be some, I highly doubt you've ever seen that to be like at a particular angle on a ladder. You'll look down in it and see it.
the letters aren't cut out, the letters are.
They're planted on.
Right,
So these
they're
letters
not
are
cut out.
planted on as pan shine letters, so they're planted on the fascia of the sign.
But are they translucent?
No, so you won't, they'll show light, they'll show light during the day and at night when they're lit, just like this, but you won't see through them through the
Okay.
sign.
Good. Well, you don't want that inadvertent, because trust me, the people who paid good money for those campaign signs, wish they,
Yeah, I
you
understand.
wouldn't see right through. I think you all know what I mean, I can't
Contrast
articulate
does
it.
help.
So my only comment is I would love to see whether it's town of Superior, Superior, Colorado maximized, like that to me, there's too much sign and not enough letters. You know, the point of the sign is that it's Superior, Colorado. And I think you do it, like I said, you do it really well. It's nice and balanced on that one.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, the one over here on the left.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so maybe the letters go down.
Well, and if it were vertical, instead of like the other vertical one where it would be like you turn your head to read it, could it be just SUPERI or make it easier to read?
Top to bottom.
It could be, we could show it that way.
I mean, I know you could do it. I
Otherwise,
was
it would
wondering
just be
what you
almost
think of that.
inverting that, and that's how it would look.
Right.
Ellie, could you put the other,
Oh, yeah, turn that
vertical up? See, you don't
See, I
read
don't like
from the
that one.
bottom, you read
I
from the
don't
top.
like that,
Yeah.
Superior should have the S at the top.
Yeah, isn't that funny, because I looked at that and it bothered me
Yeah. It
that,
should be
I'm like,
S,
shouldn't the S be on the top?
Yeah, well, and then they turn 90 degrees, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, that's like you're reading it upside down.
Like we showed on the, we can stack it that way and make it look like that, certainly. Most signs you won't see like that though, you'll see them more like this. And you read left to right.
That's why they're so common.
Right. You read
can't
left to
have that.
right, so that's why you set it up.
But the
basically
spine
as
of a
your eye
book
reads
is
it
read
left to
the other
right.
way. So,
But I understand what you're saying.
In Adobe, you could flip this around if people want to see it.
But no, you don't flip it.
No, you stack it this way.
Yes, you stack it. S is up here, so flipping.
Like
is
a
up
sign
here.
on a book.
Yeah.
so
it's,
should we want to go, what?
so it goes like this.
Participate in the discussion.
Is what she's-
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying if people wanted to see it the other way, we could just flip this document to
Well,
show.
this isn't even one we're looking at, so I think we should
Yeah.
just move on and not waste our time.
But
We've got a lot
I
to
don't
do.
think that would be a good look for this sign, in my personal opinion. I don't know that that would be a great look for this sign either.
I agree.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
never mind, sorry.
So, I think maybe because there's such a large peak here, it's kind of taking away from down here, so maybe what we do need to do is widen it just a little bit on either side.
Yeah, make it
Give it a little bit more.
give it a little more, you know,
But not heavily weighted to the side out here like I was showing you
right,
here.
extra
It's gonna have
belly.
to take a little bit of both to
I was gonna
balance
say
it out.
hips.
Oh, extra hips, extra.
Extra hip.
Just what we all
Give it a
need.
little
Yeah, that's what we all
extra.
need.
Don't
Okay,
need either of
so
those.
the last thing I think, well, we want to talk about whether we like town or versus Superior, and then just, I think just briefly, which horizontal or vertical and what we think of each location.
Yeah.
Which one we want there. So who prefers town of Superior? So that was I actually originally did, but you convinced me. I like your argument about it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm now kind of in the middle, especially if we are debating going forward. If there is the slightest possibility that in the future we are not gonna be considered town, then I think it's too risky to.
And I think it should be, I think council should make up their mind of what it is first, because I agree that it should be the same everywhere. I don't like the.
What's our
different-
town logo say?
I mean,
Sign right there.
look behind the dais.
There's the town board goals, there's,
When we fix that
So my
part,
reason for asking the earlier question, completely recognize that's a lot of text. I just really like the idea of having Colorado in it as well, because I think it's important for that placemaking, for that pride to say, you know, we're not Superior, Wisconsin, we are
But you
Superior.
know you're in
but everybody
Colorado.
knows.
Everybody knows you're in Colorado.
Well, so we
That's
do,
not
but I would
really-
argue that if this sign is to welcome visitors, or it's meant to be
You
a
think
picture
that they
that
don't know
people.
they're in Colorado?
Well, no, but when you
No,
when you
but it's not
Google, when I go in and look for the chamber, I get Superior, Wisconsin, and Superior, Michigan, or whatever, all the time. So,
Yes.
Oh, I used to, except since I
It's
always
learning.
pick Colorado.
But I think there's something too, especially for the location, and recognize we want to do it the same everywhere, especially for the location on 128 with the Flatirons in the background. I could see that being a place people go when they're visiting to take a photo, post it on Instagram, show people from all over the world, wow, look at this view. And so I think
I'm
that's where it's
Colorado.
great to show, yes, I
No,
am
I
in
kind
Colorado.
of agree. I think it's kind of a source of pride, right? We're not just a Superior, we are Superior, Colorado. I like the Superior, Colorado.
You're switching your
I feel
vote?
like destinations put a lot of that.
No, but there's still Colorado
Aspect doesn't say
in the
town
other ones.
aspect,
Yeah,
says
wherever it is,
Colorado.
it's just say Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, it always amazes me having, when you live here, but every time I go over the Davidson Mesa, every day, there are like people parked taking pictures on top of the Davidson Mesa all the time. So what if they're at that corner of 128th and McCaslin, and they stop and they take a picture in front of this really, really cool sign with the
And they're
fire
gonna
in the
get killed.
background.
I've gone into
Yeah.
pictures
Get hit
there.
by a
Most of
car
our
and no one will
Creek
see
Living
the
photos
picture.
I've taken was right on that corner. It's,
Yeah.
the views are amazing.
Yes, they are.
But Patrick, the point is interesting. On 128, and that sign, we could have a little pull-off,
Yeah.
deliberately.
So it's CDOT right,
Constructed
it's,
in
so
there.
it's CDOT right away, so we'd have to coordinate with
Right,
CDOT.
but we could have a little pull-off, so they can
Yeah.
come
Oh, like
up
a
and-
table
and
mesa.
take a
Yeah.
photo with it.
Yeah.
Like on the top of the Davidson Mesa when you're on the Boulder
Yes.
Hill.
No
Yeah.
kiosk or anything,
Yeah.
just a nice little safe
Yeah, I like that.
pull-off.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to vote again?
And we're on the 128
We're-
location.
no,
The
we're still
128
on.
location.
Okay,
So did you decide on Superior, Colorado or Town of Superior?
Well, we voted on Town of Superior, but then I think their minds have been changed.
So,
Patrick's like,
It doesn't matter, there was a majority
Yeah.
for Superior, not Town anyway, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, unless there were abstentions, but.
With anyone abstaining and voting. That's okay.
Okay.
All right.
So 128, which,
At the 128 location, do we prefer the vertical or the horizontal?
Can I make a quick comment about that location? So I was trying to just understand from the visual perspective, and I know this is really tiny, but which way would we orient that sign at 128?
Well, I
Because-
think people need to go out and look at it. We're just making a recommendation. I think that the
Okay.
professionals will
Yeah,
go out
I'll
and
take photos and
determine.
make sure that you get a good representation
Yeah.
from both directions. And if it happens to be three, then we'll have to have a discussion.
So it is
You know,
three, it is three, and that's my concern.
I
Well,
don't think you need three.
I
well,
don't-
it is 3, but do you need something?
You don't,
Right.
if you're
As
coming
related.
north on McCaslin, do you need to know that you have just been into Superior and you had no idea that you were
can't.
there until you got?
You can't see the sign anyway coming up the hill
Yeah.
because you're driving.
Right,
and
so
up
there's no
over
point
the-
in having it
Okay.
face,
But if I orient
That's
it,
north.
this way, where it's
it should be,
facing the mountain,
you'd be able
Yeah,
to read it
exactly.
going east or west.
then even people coming up, making the turn one way or another, still
When you
can see
make the
it.
turn, you're
Yeah,
gonna see
yeah.
the west facing face.
That makes sense if it's just 128, I just.
With that as your backdrop, I don't think you want the vertical, you want the horizontal.
Right.
Well, that's what we're
I
gonna
agree.
vote. Who wants the horizontal there?
Which would be that style.
Yeah. Okay. That was easy. And then you guys pick the best.
So
way to
Cole-
do
And
it.
then did we want
Did you vote vertical there?
is there a consensus
No.
on Colorado? Do we need to add that?
Yeah.
And it's on there for this one, so.
Yeah.
Patrick, it's on there.
They
Is
said-
TOS
yes.
meaning Town
Town
of
of
Town of
Superior.
Superior.
That didn't get it. But that didn't get it, though. We actually wanted
Sure.
Superior,
Yeah.
Colorado.
Just
Yeah, take it
Superior,
out of
Colorado.
Superior.
Right, right. There you
Split
go.
up.
And that's for
Colorado.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
Colorado.
Okay.
And that's for all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Superior
Colton
Colorado.
Road
So
location.
that decision is there, right?
Yeah.
But then who makes a final decision? The
Well, it's a recommendation that we
Yeah,
give to
right.
the board. And they can take
And
it
we
or
can
not.
do that.
So I call-
We can do that. Let's hang in there.
Okay.
So why are we bothering?
I think the Colton and the Divergent Diamond both need to be
Vertical?
vertical, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the decision for that has been
We already made it?
this style with some
Yeah.
variations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Organic.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Colton, who wants the vertical at that location? Karen?
Colton.
Vertical or
Vertical or horizontal?
You know how much space we have?
Where is Chick-fil-A?
Because it's a
Oh, but
long
Chick-fil-A.
sign.
Yeah, I actually,
we
I think
like
that, I like the
We
horizontal.
think that there's
there.
enough
Yeah.
space there for vertical? Is that what everyone thinks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the horizontal.
But
Yeah.
Patrick's gonna have to
Yeah.
check on that vertical to make sure it doesn't obstruct something we're not thinking about.
Yeah.
So, okay, then also, I don't know why I had it in my brain that we could only do the vertical here because of space restrictions,
No, I
but
think you could
We can
We
put
can
in,
do the
then I
horizontal.
prefer the horizontal there, because I don't want it to compete with the
Well, that's what I was
condos.
thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't worry too much about, don't think of
Space.
site constraints.
Okay, then,
We'll,
all right, so
we'll,
let's,
we'll come back and let you know if there's
oh,
something.
okay, so let's revote.
Okay, can we re-vote on this one?
Sure.
Who would like
Colton?
the vertical? Okay, we would like the horizontal.
And I'm either way. So
Okay.
am I go either way.
Wow.
So we switched.
So,
Horizontal,
Yeah, I'm thinking of
Okay, and now,
slimly horizontal, a
Yes.
slim margin.
and
on
now the
horizontal.
DDI location, the.
Turning into Costco.
Yeah.
Oh, you want that one to be? Now, if you're turning into Costco there, in front of you is going to be that big sculpture on the roundabout.
You won't.
You're
not
not
gonna
gonna see that sculpture.
You're not gonna
It's
go
still
there.
far away.
It's pretty far
It's
away.
way far away.
And it's only 12 feet high.
Yeah, it's only two.
No, it's not. It's
On pedestal,
like way
20.
far away.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Isn't it right there?
No.
It's way far away.
That's a pretty big piece of land right there.
It doesn't look like it's wide enough.
there's a bunch of utilities in there.
Bunch of utilities.
Right here, there's a bunch.
Yeah, with all of these boxes that are here. we're
So
gonna-
from a maintenance perspective, the vertical works better, but that doesn't,
I think we like vertical.
Yeah.
I feel
vertical.
like vertical.
Yeah.
Because that
So
can
we
raise
change
it
our
above the
mind.
signs.
Yes.
Yeah, because
All right, who
everything
would
else
like
there is.
vertical there?
Organic.
Okay.
But having said that, it is
What do we call
really
it?
important how they treat
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
It's gotta be up high enough,
Colton?
and it needs to fill
it's
that
gotta
space
be
better.
broad enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It has to fill that space well, and however your designer
I
comes
would,
up with that.
I
This
would
looks like a
reserve the
fish
right
eye,
to
though. It's
see
not all
them
that
both
big.
in that location.
Yeah,
It's not all that
I
big.
agree.
But I think ideally vertical would be
Once you
better.
come up with a finished design to present back to this group for all three locations, them in each location to scale, that'll make it crystal clear.
Sure.
Right now, we're just
Absolutely.
conjecture.
Thank you
Okay,
very
good.
much.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much
you.
so
My
much.
pleasure.
We appreciate your
You came out with
tolerance or
good
whatever.
ideas.
I like the banter, it's good.
the only ad that we had is on 128, so the snow throws like 15 feet.
Okay,
So I think we either need to do like a raised pedestal, which we could do landscaping wise on our end, but when you cite it, can you keep that in mind?
yeah,
And
That's a
this
good-
one, if we're
that's a good
vertical, I don't
point.
think we have a problem, but now it's a snow storage area.
sure. Well, and what's our setback back there anyway? That's technically a highway, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I have the CDOT.
We might
I mean,
have-
CDOT right away, so I don't know.
CDOT may push us to be back by 25 or 30
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
So Patrick, you have that same snow thing on Colton, so
We
definitely.
don't throw it as far because
Okay.
our speeds aren't as high.
Okay,
So the state trucks go
Yep,
pretty
yep,
fast
that's
up
a
there.
great
So they throw much
consideration.
farther,
yeah.
where we're pretty slow down
So
there.
when you send a memo to the upcoming board, to the future board, would you make sure and have all those considerations noted on it? Because that's a very good one.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna get less and less snow.
You're not gonna be taking any pictures.
Who knows?
What happens for maintenance if, like, you're right, on 128th, when those snowplows go, they're hauling?
Mhm.
Do they like spit out big rocks and all this kind of stuff that would whack the sign?
I think I mean, you could, but
It doesn't, it's
It'll be
not,
okay.
pretty
I
durable
put up signs for a long time, it's not
Yeah.
a huge
Okay.
factor,
No.
but that's another reason why CDOT says things have to be
25
further
feet back,
Right.
but you could do it, like, you're right, with the pull out if people want to take pictures and cool
And I
pedestal.
think setting it back is a good deal anyway, and then bringing it up in the
Yeah.
air some will help as well.
yeah.
And we can look at the footprint of the sign itself.
Is there any concern if we go with the design with the holes in it?
Mhm.
Is there any concern about the wind up there and the integrity of the sign?
Anything we design has got to fit to what code sets. So I think we're at 120 miles.
Chose that
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
So that.
which may not be enough up there, no, I'm
We'll
kidding.
engineer-
It
That's
feels
a
like
good-
it
that's a
does.
Same
very
with the
good
art that we
point.
put in the roundabout, like,
Yeah.
it's actually, it's 120.
And how
everything has to be
porous
engineered
is
to
those
withstand
wires to
all
let
of
the
the
wind
state.
go
We're doing one
through?
in
Well,
Leadville.
because that was even
Right now,
right
so-
down back below, my fence
Well,
blew
thank
down.
you very much, we appreciate
Oh, my
it.
pleasure. Thank you for having
We
me.
look forward to seeing the next iteration.
Here are the other boards, here.
Don't know, do we have a timeline mind if when the board sees it again? Or no?
Yes, as a board member, when
Okay.
needs to be on
So-
consideration to the board.
Next year.
December, just because it's been out there, but I guess probably not.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
The one thing I was gonna say about this one vertical sign, that I didn't get to bring up, was the nice thing about this one being in the corner right there, the one's right here, is this is in every driver's view, right? So everybody coming around that corner, that's the first thing they're gonna see, is that's right in their view spot. So it's a great place to have it.
Yeah. And a great design.
And it's cooler than the Louisville ones.
There's a benefit to waiting on.
Yeah.
That's right, because it feels fresh. Not old fashioned.
Well, we do have an old fashioned one that who knows where it is. There was one out there. They
But
had-
what happened to it?
I have it.
We could put that somewhere.
You could.
Put it
I
in the
think-
cemetery.
In the historic park.
In the historic park. That's
Yeah.
Coming down Marshall, when you find
Oh, yeah, that's the other way
It's the only
in.
place where we wouldn't then have an.
Right.
You're right.
You need an official recommendation from this committee?
No, I
Okay.
think what we're waiting for is when we build the trail over there, and we've already got it torn up. It would run away.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
It's just it's a rock. It's a beautiful sand,
Yeah, okay,
sandstone.
yeah. It's very
with the-
organic, it's
yeah.
rock.
It looks like a tombstone.
Which is especially great.
Downright
for
geological.
then.
Okay, on to 6. We've got a lot to cover in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So, project timeline, development, and RFP discussion. And I'm hoping that, Patrick, you want to take the lead on this to help us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Darren and I met earlier this week just to kind of start to chat about the logistics of the timeline. So you guys know we've got 150K approved in next year's budget. So as of January 1, we can spend it. We're also in the process, we've got, I don't know, 25 or so applications for the open position that we have. So my thought was, if we wanted to start to draft out the scope of the RFP now, we've got 2 of them. Defining what we want in the master plan, which I think there's some really good templates out there, will help. I would like to get that issued sooner rather than later, so we can hit the ground running as quickly as possible in 2019, knowing that it's going to be a lengthy process. We're going to have to go to the board, I'm assuming a couple times for approval. I think that the timeline on the main event could probably be a little bit shorter, just because we're not going to have to put the horsepower in to write it. But really starting to define exactly what we want out of those events, starting to get to dates and times and some of those kind of things. So I just kind of wanted to gauge the interest and see what your guys' expectations are on the master plan. Is it better that we come up with a bunch of samples that get passed over and you mark them up? Are there some set ideas? You know, I'll be honest, I haven't done an art master plan. I've only done Parks and Rec set. So, I just want to make sure that expectations on both sides, mine as well as yours, are really clear, because, you know, we want you guys to know we've done the process.
We are gonna have the consultant write it though, but we're just kind of giving them, we're gonna meet with them and tell them, this is kind of what we want, and give them some direction.
Well, so the very first step is I'll write some kind of RFP.
You're gonna write the RFP.
To get that person
Right.
on board. So, you know, is that we want, you know, the sense that I'm always taking is it's more than artwork. It's the placemaking. We've talked a lot at the board level about branding and identity. So I look at it, this is our one shot to sew all these loose ends together and come away with this really cool document that helps define what we want to do artistically, brand-wise, image-wise, messaging-wise for, you know, the next 20 years. But I don't, those are my thoughts. I want to make sure that if there's something else in there that the committee's interested in, that we're getting that in there.
So Patrick, rather than borrowing pages, presenting as pages of other communities' master plans, could you or your designee actually just create, let's say, a 1 or 2 page document that says just what you said? Items that could be included in the master plan are the following. branding, messaging, placemaking opportunities, bullet, you know, specifically what you're referring to under there. Arts and performance arts. What's painting and everything?
Visual arts.
Performance arts, bullet.
I mean, you can
Visual
think of
arts,
it-
bullet.
There will be something probably sooner rather than later in terms of wayfinding. You know,
Wayfinding.
and we've looked at wayfinding from a user standpoint, but have we looked at wayfinding in terms of what message we want to, you know, so.
How we want it all done.
Okay, so a 2-page document with.
A brief document.
Yeah, initial lag of.
Easily digestible.
Yep, okay.
And that document you're talking about, that's not the RFP or the master plan, it's a third document?
No, it's the bones of the master plan.
It's a summary?
Yeah, it's simply as the outline
Okay,
of
so
what
we
would
would
eventually
create,
become the master plan.
and that's something we would give to the consultant.
Right. Then the other thing is, this consultant is simply your worker B. He or she doesn't then take all those points and say, he or she wants this. Each of those points will have to be fleshed out by this group. So what do you recommend in terms of public participation at the outset to understand what the community would wish to see in terms of arts and culture and all that kind of
No,
stuff?
I would say following our standard, I would assume that it would have some kind of public process. Now, whether or not we hire the consultant and then do that type of public process, or we as a group try to do it and then that somehow gets incorporated, you know, I don't know. I know if we were doing it on the Parks and Recreation side, we'd have the consultant on contract and we would rely on them to host those conversations on our behalf. So it was kind of this unbiased, it wasn't the town, it wasn't the committee, it was, we're just gonna kind of collect this.
Professional.
Right,
Yeah.
who knows how to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's worked well in Northwest
And I
Superior.
think, you know, it's bulletproof. It takes away that ability to say, oh, is Patrick skewing the results or is staff skewing the results?
And does the consultant also help carry out the plan and realize the plan? Or just make the
I think they could. I think it depends on what goes in there. I think if we, you know, my hope with this with what was Katie's position, which we've tweaked, you know, instead of just being event focused, you know, I think we go with our focus, and I can teach a person how to run all the special events. I mean, we've had an amazing group of staff for a long time, but it is harder to take an event person and teach them the nuances, I think,
Of public art and placemaking.
What would be great is if they could help set us up for success and say, here's some things that you can do as a volunteer committee to own it and manage it, and then they can give us some pointers on the maintenance side of here's how to make, you know. And I think that those could be defined in the document, and then it would be on staff and the committee. You know, Daryl and I talked about still the possibility of additional volunteers to help carry these things out.
So you give us the bones, the committee the bones. The committee fleshes out priorities within the bones, right? When it's fleshed out enough and you've hired, somebody's hired this person, then the person comes into the picture, right? And the person along with the committee sort of constructs what the public process would look like, et cetera, et cetera. Then this hired person is the continuity from year to year to year to year, right? Our committee will change. People will leave, get tired of it, new people will come in and whatnot. But the staff person ultimately has the full responsibility to make sure that working with this committee, this master plan is achieved over time. Isn't that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
so just so we're all sort of seeing how this all hooks together.
Do we have a budget constraint? I mean, in a perfect world, you know, we get the bones and then we talk about it, what's important, you know, and then that consultant steps in and really gives their expertise on how you write it, what they, you know works, what doesn't work. They're going to do the public process. Could that be, I mean, from the CAPS committee, could that be $50,000 or could it be $200,000?
No, it was a budgeted $50,000.
Right, so I'm saying, so when it comes to I would think that the cost of that public process for the consultant to do that, like in Northwest Superior, would be pretty expensive.
No, it's cheap.
Not necessarily, it's not way much.
It's cheap.
Okay.
Well, you had
as a
a
consultant-
meeting and bottles of water.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
how is the contract with the consultant been structured? Is it time and materials, or is it?
We haven't written it.
So I think that goes to the pricing, is depending how many hours we want the consultant to put into
Well,
it.
But
you can look at deliverables.
I always tell this committee, don't worry about it. You figure out what you want and we'll make it happen. 50 grand is a very liberal budget.
Is
to
it?
achieve.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
very liberal.
If I
Very
remember,
good.
when Greenplay came in and they did some of the community engagement stuff, it was like $10,000 a pop for them to come to a meeting and run a
Right.
community engagement meeting.
With the data collection on the back end, yeah.
Right, and so I do want to be careful that we aren't, yes, I think we want to make sure that we get the public's information and we understand what the public wants, but I also want to be careful that all of the money isn't spent just on community engagement.
Right.
And that's expensive. I mean, I know.
It can be maybe, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And, I wouldn't argue maybe that the community center process was good or bad, but we decided not to use a consultant because we wanted to hear unfiltered, unbiased information.
So when we did all the sticky notes and all that kind of stuff.
And we presented it as just, whether you loved it or hated it, we captured it all. So I think there's some creative ways to do the public engagement, and I also think we've kind of swung the pendulum. I think we do great on public engagement, but I don't think we actually are all that great about asking questions that we really want answers to.
Well, in this case, what we're trying to do is have general input from the community, not about any one specific project. Can you imagine if we had the whole community tonight talking about the sign issue? It would be a disaster. We are plenty representative of the community. That's why you're here. You're the representatives. That's why I'm up there. I'm your representative, right? So you're actually trying to solicit all kinds of general creative ideas and general ways in which the community wishes you to focus on those ideas. Like, do we first want a concert series, right? Or do we first want visual arts, so you can get a sense of the community's priorities. That is easier to accomplish, no matter who does it, us doing it or a consultant doing it.
Or maybe a combination of both, that we have a little bit of the organic, sticky notes and just unfiltered stuff, and then sort of more of a directed, these are avenues that we can go down.
And Sandy, would it be accurate? So the one thing that I felt was a bit of a struggle last year with ProStack is, I think the board was wanting them to take a little bit more an authoritative position and actually get behind something as the subject matter experts. And I think that that's completely appropriate. I think that, would you say that is accurate?
I think
from a board's perspective?
I think that that data gathering from the community is going to be pretty easy to achieve. I don't think it's going to be as complex because we're not asking, would you like to see more locker rooms? Or would you like to see a babysitting space? We're not asking that, So, that is just general data collection, and you are the representatives of the community on how that all is articulated in the master plan, with the board ultimately having to approve that plan. Yeah.
I think that we can really narrow it down before we bring it to the community as well. I mean, just to recap what we talked about a couple weeks ago, the way I see it moving forward is kind of doing a survey of what are the amenities in our surrounding communities. How do our surrounding communities handle their arts programs? Because they all have them. Arvada, Broomfield, Lafayette, Louisville, Boulder, everybody around us. And just in my brief kind of overview and looking at that, I had kind of narrowed down, all the amenities that they have into a few categories. I think there was a facility, public art program, grants, some type of event, and then like a historical part of their community.
Well, I wrote those up in the notes.
Yeah.
From 2 weeks ago.
Right.
There,
So we
you
kind of
had
talked
like
about that.
7 bullet points or categories of discussion.
Things that they had done, right.
It's all very manageable.
So then I think that we can kind of take those things to the community and say, here are some things that other surrounding communities have done. What are the biggest priorities to incorporate into
Has
our
anybody here ever done such a thing as this, what we're talking about? I
You
have,
write a
numerous
master plan?
times, and it's very manageable. I feel a sense of being overwhelmed among you. Don't be overwhelmed. It's very manageable. And Patrick is a master. He has been so associated with open space master plan, parks and rec master plan and whatnot. So having capable staff for support really makes a difference. So I agree with you. I think it is going to be manageable. Patrick, when you are looking at the person to hire, you said the thing about staff already has events. Without Katie here, you have events under control because your staff collectively has so much events knowledge. So are you looking more for the arts and the cultural arts and whatnot in terms of their expertise? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't read, this may be in that thing, I haven't read the position.
Yeah, so Katie's position was events and volunteers. This
Right.
could be cultural events.
You want them to have experience in this.
Yeah. And what I'm looking for is somebody who can help with this project, who can assist me working with Al on the Roundabout project, who we can have write a grant that isn't, me or somebody else.
Well, and in tapping into like the open studios, I mean, the person who would be in cultural arts would need to have kind of their fingers and some networking into visual arts and performance art and placemaking,
I mean, if you get,
whatever that looks like. Hey, you looking for a job?
Did you apply? Did you apply?
Not yet.
You need to. When are you going to start interviews?
Patrick, can you, I'm kind of more of a, like, Claire and I were talking about this. If you have, and Daryl's been sending them out too, like I have the updates for the Boulder cultural arts. If you have any of those, I would really like to read them and just.
That's what we're going to put in Dropbox. So
we would like that Dropbox.
And we can organize it and put some of that documentation there.
Right, because we've gone through like Santa Rosa, California, we've done pretty much all of them. If you could put that some way and we can read them.
And then so my goal, I'll probably plan to be the liaison well into next year. Just, when a budget of $150,000 gets adopted, I mean, that's a pretty monumental change for what our department is. So I think going from your traditional Parks and Recreation department to having this new facet of what we do is awesome, and bringing somebody on who has that expertise is going to be critical. Just as I would hire somebody like Brian to manage the pools, that's his thing. We want to find somebody that knows this.
If I heard you, are going to be our liaison for a while.
Yep.
Because I missed the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And I will tell this group, that's fantastic to hear. Okay.
We may have to bring dinner and wine for him or beer. Every month he'll be going, oh my gosh.
That's a good.
So anyway, so that we're using Dropbox so that we can kind of educate
And
ourselves.
keep some of these documents there, so you don't have to go searching back through emails.
Well, I just keep printing them up and I have a book that's like this, so this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, Cindy, do you have anything that you want to add or any thoughts about the RFP process? Just because you're in the arts world all the time. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, you don't have to.
I would just, when you guys were talking about kind of different components of the master plan, I think one of the things that the city of Boulder did was, in theirs, was they talked about the support of the local organizations and the support of the local art makers too in that. So like how they wanted to address that in their master plan. So I think that, because I think it's a good idea to have like a plan for a collaboration with the people who are doing things already and kind of help support them in their work.
Do you have any recommendations on where to post an art? I mean, so we're.
Oh, yeah.
So if I put it on eBids, it's gonna get read by a bunch of government nerds like myself.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I might, is
there forums out? I mean,
Not, and cafe was more for artists.
Cafe, yeah.
So they're not looking for.
Possibly through the Boulder County Arts Alliance, because they reach a lot of.
And that's where I actually got a name, a couple contacts when I was at the grant writing workshop. They had a couple of.
We've been in contact with Vail. They've got a great master plan that's a little outdated. Neither one of those firms that wrote that document are around. So.
Oh, you're right, because both Vail and Aspen has really, really cool public art.
Okay, do we want to do we have time for the main event, or do we want to?
Well, I just wanted to
Oh,
say,
yeah, sorry.
so I had a chance to read through that document that Jane printed out for everybody, and I think Daryl, you had shared it as well.
Right.
And it had some interesting points. I don't know if anybody else has had a chance to read through that, but really it was a comparison of arts master plans from 10 different cities of varying sizes. And some of the points that I thought were interesting. Number one, it just said like what was included in all of the master plans. The ones that are featured in that article, the plans are really just focused on public art. So selecting pieces of public art to put in specific sites and how you're going to determine the site and how you're going to choose the artists and how you're going to get the funding and how you're going to maintain and document all of the art. So I don't think they were really as broad as what we're talking about, like creating something from scratch, you know, we're talking about other things other than that, but anyways, the number one funding source of all the cities all around the country is that capital campaign thing where builders donate, 1% or something like that. And so sounds like that's
cultural
standard.
arts in the community.
Right.
Patrick, did you get that article I sent around? I'm sending it to you.
And then it's supplemented by raising private funds or something like that. But that's like, sounds to me that that's like the number one source of funding for public art.
Do we know what Louisville does? I mean, or does Boulder have?
Boulder does not have a 1% for the arts.
But there was, they just passed some, or last
For
year,
city
the
buildings.
CCS tax. The community. Something and safety was one combination of things.
And that covered some of the.
Right, and it's gonna
arts.
come back around, they're gonna have to ask for it again at sunsets, and so they're gonna have to ask for that funding.
But I mean, because Louisville's had a pretty dramatic movement from almost no cultural arts that might have been, 10 years ago? And I mean, just now they're really kind of coming into that whole
Downtown
age.
Building Association, I think,
Was that
the driver.
I think the city of Lafayette, their community puts in a certain amount every year.
Right, and then
to
Lafayette's
buy
coming
a
too.
piece of art. And then everything else they do, it's rotation of, people to view the art, and then it can go somewhere else. It's not a permanent thing.
That's
unless
a
they buy it.
project that they have, yes.
Yeah.
It would have been beautiful to have done this percent thing like the town center.
5 years
We
ago.
do have $2 million in that budget.
Yeah, but still think what it would be if they would have put in literally 0.5%, and maybe that would have, in some odd way, softened all the controversy that's gone on there.
Yeah.
So there's that, and the other point that I thought was interesting was that some cities created the Arts Master Plan as a sub-document of a larger plan for that municipality.
Under the comprehensive plan.
Exactly, which I think makes a lot of sense, because I think that sometimes I feel like we're kind of operating in isolation from other people who are making plans for the town, and I think there needs to be some integration so that when someone's planning the parks or developments, arts needs to be baked into that from the get-go. It shouldn't be something that we're overlaying on top of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of what the main thrust of having the plan in place was.
Right, but
Yeah,
I don't want this
totally
plan that's
agree.
totally separate that maybe isn't read by other people who are.
Patrick, comprehensive plan, is the open space master plan and the Parks and Rec master plan part of that official
No,
document?
there were slight revisions, but no.
The transportation plan is
Yes.
cited as a
Yeah.
specific part of comp plan. So I think that's an excellent point. And the new board's going